Today we are going to talk about a video game that is able to treat the obesity disorders.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The industry is treating still obesity as a disease like that.
Society is also investing a lot of money for trying to treat these disorders.
Even overweight or obese conditions, I'm always asked to do better, to do more sport, eat less, stop eating pancakes. So I'm always under a lot of pressures, you know. We have basically combined advanced neurosciences and mobile gaming in order to deliver our therapy. 5 to 10 minutes of gaming where you do great, you have fun, it's immersive, specifically designed to recalibrate the brain reward system. We're reducing your preferences for what's considered unhealthy.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this new episode of Sci-Tech Suisse, a weekly podcast about AI, technology, and lifestyle. My name is Matilde, and today we're going to talk about a video game that is able to treat the obesity disorders. So I think in general, this is a very complex topic in the sense that we have a lot of factors. We have the environment factors, such as, for example, the economy. And then we have also some medical factors. And finally, also the psychology, which is more an interaction between the two. So the environment and also the medical factors. So this disease is actually very complex. At the same time, the society is also investing a lot of money for trying to treat these disorders. And we can see about some drugs. I can easily think to Ozempic, but also from other dietary choices. And having this new and interesting startup that develops some video games that helps the weight regulation, I find it super, super interesting. So Frederik Plourde, I'm very happy to have you here. You are actually the CEO of this startup. It's called Neuria. So how are you?
Great. Thanks for having us, Matilde. Really appreciate it as well. So quickly, yes, exciting introduction. I think you gave us all about what we're doing here. As for myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur, third-time founders, actually started businesses at 17 years old, basically. Always been around into the health tech industries. It's a passion coming from my father, I have to say. So building a startup, it's quite nice, and having the societal challenges like solving obesity and also overweight, it's also something we are addressing at the moment. Was just for me like a phenomenal opportunity just to contribute as a human to make this place or this world a little bit better. And that's what we're doing at Neuria. You were right. We have brain training, actually, that we are delivering through mobile gaming. So we have basically combined advanced neurosciences and mobile gaming in order to deliver our therapy. And nice comparison with the Ozempic. We have a digital version of the Ozempic. Basically, we are equivalently or equally efficient at some point. It's just that we ask our user to play games and have fun instead of taking pills. Yes.
Okay, so wait, we need to resume a bit what you said. You are actually the father of a lot of startup. You started at the age of 17, and one of your startup right now has more than 50 employees. So you really are diving in this field, and you came in Switzerland for develop Neuria. And I need to make you this question because Neuria is having a lot of attention, is gaining a lot of prizes here in Switzerland. I think it's the 6th most important startup in Switzerland, isn't it?
Correct. Yes. I mean, we have a lot of recognition, just so we have a big societal impact. And the other startups, yes, of course, I feel my expertise. It's the 0 to 1, when we have an idea, when we have a solid patent and solid technology that then we need to build the team around, and we need to gather investors and making this case viable and sustainable startups. That's where I'm the best at my work, at my job, I have to say. Yeah, yeah, in terms of Neuria, I think this is what I'm doing professionally, building startups. So I just feel like the traction we have now in Switzerland is just some sort of the reaction of all the efforts and the big market potential of this technology.
That's amazing. And why do you think you are having so much attention? Like, do you think what can gives Neuria as plus for this world of the obese disorders?
I mean, listen, we're working with a lot of clinicians. We're speaking with our user. Obesity is perceived as a disease, and that's the problem. That's what people are tired of hearing of. If even overweight or obese conditions, I'm always asked to do better, to stop doing what I do, to do more sport, eat less, stop eating pancakes. So I'm always under a lot of pressures, and clinicians know that, and the industry is treating still obesity as a disease like that. So when you're tired and then you need again to go into traditional pharmacotherapy, you need to be compliant into taking your pills, or most of the big effect are with the injection of the GLP-1 at the moment. It's always harder and more complex and asking more self-discipline. And we believe that's where we have a big differentiator, saying that for one time, you do well. Go on our app, have fun, enjoy while you're commuting, while you're waiting, whatever, during your day. Just fill this time with 5 to 10 minutes of gaming where you do great, you have fun, it's immersive. We are operating as a professional game studio, so we're not that kind of serious game. You mean we're really here to develop immersive and fun games, and that's the big differences. That's why we're connecting so much with our audience, because they are just tired to always rely on self-discipline, and finally an option which is some sort of effortless, accessible, that provide them joy and fun, but also very positive outcomes in terms of weight loss. That's where we're doing magic. So I feel like it's a long answer, but that's most probably why we're just a bit like rising quite fast lately.
I really like it. Also because you put a lot of ethical problems here on the table. Like, as you said, it's not a disorder, so it's actually something more complex. So also trying to make them trying also to change their habits in a more funnier way. It can also help for sure for themselves, for their psychology. So this is actually enormous. But I need to ask you actually, how does it work? Like how these video games can have an impact actually to the weight regulation?
That's a very good question. So all our fundamental science is based on a part of the brain that it's called the brain reward system. To make that very simple, the brain reward system is designed to prioritize energy-dense foods item. Here I'm speaking of chocolate and potato chips, by example. And this feature is in our brain due to our ancestor, because of course when you were able to find fat or sugar in the woods back in the days, it was crucial to be able to recognize that this is important, this is massive for me, I need to eat it all, you see. But the problem is today we still have this very overactivation of the brain reward system. And with easy access to foods, and especially to heavily transformed food or heavily too high calories foods item, this is what it's creating our overweight problem and the obesity problem in the society. So our games are specifically designed to recalibrate the brain reward system, meaning we're going to reduce the activation in front of specific items that are recognized by nutrition and dietitians and diabetologists as unhealthy. So for you to be able to have less cravings for it and then be able to still enjoy it, we're not changing preferences, we're reducing your preferences for what's considered unhealthy. So you can still have a big small piece of chocolate, enjoying it, still have piece of chips, enjoying it, but it means you're still now able to control yourself. And that's the big difference of the effect of retraining or recalibrating the brain reward system.
Okay. So you're saying actually that, this video games has an impact to the reward system, so it reduces in some way your craving. But making a concrete example, like for example, me, I live in a city where we have a lot of kebab restaurants. Okay, so I have the feeling I'm eating more kebab since I'm here because I'm seeing a lot. I also like it a lot, so that's why I have less motivation to avoid to eat it. So how can I with these video games reduce my craving on the kebab?
That's a very good point, and one of the societal problem of accessibility or convenience of fast food on the street and etc. That's also something we're
That's
fighting on a little
horrible,
bit. It is, but it's convenient, and that we can't remove. To the society, everyone is busy, everyone's working hard every day. So when you go back home and you just pass in front of the kebabs shop, you're like, okay, that will be great. So that it's okay, it's convenient, but you need to be balanced, and that we're not here to educate anyone, but of course we're gonna work on specific items. So is for you, Matilde, kebab is a problem and ice cream is a problem. We're gonna work on those different items that you like into the kebab sandwiches, by example, and you're going to be trained specifically to respond or to either remove your cravings in front of the specific kebab in the game. All that we have 3 different mechanisms of actions that can be used and that are combined to reduce your cravings, your preferences for a specific kebab, basically. And that's where we were quite surprised, because it seems to be as a normal mobile or arcade video game. But basically with those 3 mechanisms, which are a part of our patented technology as well, by retraining the brain, we reduce how much you like, we keep kebab as a good example, how much you like kebab or how much you crave kebab by 20%. That has been measured, by the neuronal activity in the brain reward system of you, Matilde, in front of the kebab before our intervention and post-intervention. And we can reduce pragmatically and objectively your cravings by 20%. And think about that as a cascading effect at that time, where when you have less liking or less cravings for kebab, the reaction is you're reducing your consumption. Here, what we measured during 3 double-blind RCTs as well is a reduction of 25% of your consumption of kebab. And of course, if it's one of the most problematic items for you, it leads to weight loss of around 2 to 3% per month due to this cascading effect, basically.
Okay. So like playing with this game, will help me. For example, I will see around the city again some kebab restaurants, but my craving will be less strong as before thanks to this video game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's exactly we were working on environmental cues, which includes either you see, either you smell, or even either you think of a foods item. At this
Okay.
moment, for you, it's not that much of a problem anymore. So that's the beauty of this, this simple, exciting game.
I like it a lot also because it makes me kind of remember that sometimes the process is more important than the results. I mean, of course, losing weight is still important, but I like the fact that we put the accent to good habits and working on good habits to finally have a good effect. We don't want only to losing weight with strange method that probably also decrease the well-being. So I like this idea. And I'm also curious to know, actually, if you have already some patients that use this video game and had an impact with their well-being in general.
Yes, of course. We are now close to 500. These are, we call them user because there weren't any specific, medical conditions.
Okay.
Now we're waiting for the result for obesity that we conducted with big clinical institutions here in Switzerland. But we're close to 500 patients that saw those impressive outcomes, and it has been conducted as any big clinical trials from pharmaco industry, for example, with the same golden standard. So this is quite exciting to see those results. To take the boss on what you mentioned as well, like obesity is a lot of work; it's multifactorial. For us, of course, we still believe that we can't say that Ozempic, that those different version of GLP-1 aren't efficient. It's just that for us, we are more treating the metabolic diseases, which what I want to say here, it's by the root cause of the cravings, the root cause of the consumption or the food intake, it's coming from the brain. So that's where we're working at most to either having more sustainable impact, but also to people to feel better, because it's not convenient to waking up every morning and have to take a pills. And especially think about that for children. I don't feel like it's a solution for the society when we know that the problem it's our brain are so much I would use a very
Triggered.
strong word, but trigger are corrupted by publicity, by those big fast food, by those different kind of too sweet sodas. This is where the problem is, and that's where we are deploying our technology and our science at Neuria. So yes, it is some sort of big societal problem that we need to, I think, tackle by different angle, and our very precise angle for us, it's rewiring the brain reward system.
That's amazing. But so in general, you wanted to use for the treatment or also for the prevention? Like taking me as example, like if I'm using it before I'm having a problem, maybe this could help me to be more resistant to some cues and some triggers. For example, the kebab restaurants for my previous example.
No, you're totally right here. We're on very, let's call it two highways. Which the first one is around prevention, because especially for type 2 diabetes, it's very an exciting space for us as well. And I shouldn't say exciting, because living with type 2 diabetes, it's very not an exciting thing. But if well prevent, and if it's known soon enough, you are around 30% of the type 2 diabetes case can be reversed. And that's where we see a lot of potential for us as well, to be able to when people start to feel, the lack of energy, they feel they don't eat healthy enough, and then they can start play our games. They can get into our digital clinics, our environment, to prevent the conversion from just being overweighted to having the medical condition of living with type 2 diabetes. That's brilliant. So that's the type of very pragmatic prevention we are focusing on at the moment. And of course, for what's problematic, especially on the other side of the ocean in the US, it's what's the most alarming. It's the obesity rate into children, teenagers as well. So that's where also it's quite easy to have them in front of their cell phone, that we know, of course. So that's also an angle of prevention we want to put our efforts on during the next year.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So, but in general, where do you think are you where my question is right now, at what time are you right now with the startup? And where are you, what you want to do in 5 years?
If you look at the digital health or even digital therapeutic space, lots of companies claiming some incredible stuff, some incredible weight loss of 10 to 20%, but without any strong science behind, without any strong clinical evidences behind. And that's a pain for us. So we wanted to do that right, as good Swiss people, that we started by very with strong double blind with placebo effect as well studies to make sure, okay, science is working. Then we got a patent for our, let's call it, digital molecules. And then we got a nice platform having the IP and some clinical evidences to then convert this prototype into, let's call it, market-ready product. And we are exactly at this stage at the moment. So we have also a team of 5 full-time employees. As mentioned earlier, we are operating as a professional game studio. So we have a whole new game that is coming that's going to be mostly perceived as a normal mobile game, let's call it like that. And the next step for us, now that we have the patent, the platform, we also raised private funds to materialize our vision during the summer. So now we're a bit of set on this jet, and we plan to launch the product by April through different clinical institutions we are partnering with, plus health insurer here in Switzerland. So our user can get a reimbursement to use our solution. And then we'll be able to have this very, again, pragmatic case where we have Neuria at the top, we have clinical institution in one corner, and the health insurer in the other corner. So we can basically modelize medical economics and our impact for society as well. And so on and so on, and start commercialization globally if those small case studies are going well, basically.
That's enormous. April, it's like in a couple of months. So good luck for this moment. So you basically saying that you are doing, like, you have done a lot of research. You've used a very specific language that I know because I'm in research, but double blind is not for, it's not evident that what does it mean. So in general, what you've told, it's you have a strong research background with also 500 patients with this. And finally, in April, it's going to be like launched in some institution as well, like hospitals and insurance.
Yes, of course. And for the ones who's not truly aware of what's double blind study is, it's just basically we don't know who's using the technology and the data are blinded, so we're not
Exactly.
sure
That's a very cool
exactly.
way to say that it's a strong research. That's for me it's the most important point to say.
Yeah, that's you got the point totally right. So for the ones who are not aware, it's better to say just to mention what's the term. And yeah, of course. What's the most exciting? I have to say it's healthcare is evolving so fast. Healthcare is a reactive model today. We're treating disease. That's the definition of healthcare. And what we found brilliant, it's very controversial and a bit rebel from our side to say, let's have fun, let's play video game. Oh, but wait, it also have a very good impact on your health. And it also helps you to develop healthier habits. That we like a lot because that's some sort of the new generation coming that want to be empowered, that want to take care of their own health, that want to implement prevention into their day-to-day. And that's exactly this type of people we're working with. And if you think that clinicians don't know that, that's untrue as well. We are collaborating with clinicians that promote that. And that's what we found so brilliant. We build a very strong community around using mobile gaming as a treatment and prevention tool for obesity and overweight. And we don't claim that we're going to replace Ozempic. We don't claim that we're going to replace restrictive diets or even, endocrinologists or obesity clinics. All these guys have their place in this ecosystem, but us, we're just coming with an additional tools that help patients to take care of themselves from home while having fun. So as Duolingo is a way to make learning a language or learning language classes a bit less boring and accessible from home as well. So you can also train during your official classes. We see Neuria as the same, where you can also train your brain on the morality during, I would have to say, between your different appointment with your doctor, for example. So that's a good example to show where we're going.
Incredible. Neuria is the Duolingo of the weight.
I mean,
Loving it.
that's probably a good, very simple way to describe it. Yes.
And last question, and it's actually beyond Neuria. You have created this video game that has an impact with the reward system. Do you think this video, not this video game, but in general, this kind of system can actually also affect and manipulate the ideology of people? Do you understand what I mean? It's a bit controversial and complicated question.
I mean, we don't like the term manipulation or manipulating people internally. But listen, there's one thing: the system is already there, and it's overstimulated by the industries and by how we are engineering foods today.
Mm-hmm.
But it is there as and the first time as a newborn baby, the first time you taste chocolate, for example, there's an automatic association of first the taste and then the density, the calorie density of this item. And of course, you'll like that at the first sign. And this association at the beginning, that's also what we are reversing. We are reducing how much you likes it now that you are more in control of what you can eat and more in control of what is surrounded in you or what you are surrounded with into your environment. So you don't need to like chocolate that much anymore. And that's where we are acting. So it's not manipulation. It's just, that's why we call that recalibrating, getting back into a normal activation of the brain reward system. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if I get the first part of your question, it's the reward system. Of course, we're speaking of, you can heard some sort of addictions to sugar in my vocabulary, that we try to not use it as well. But this mechanism of action, the reward system, as you were also saying earlier, the different triggers can be from food category, but also other categories like alcohol. It's also problematic, like tobacco, which is also a problem. And even soft drug these days with legalization of cannabis everywhere, that's also those same mechanism of action that we can apply basically to get pretty much the same similar result or outcomes, but on different category where we're treating more on that type addictive behavior as well.
Okay. I see your point. And it's a good point also saying that it could be very important for tobacco and alcohol abuse. Like actually, this kind of game can help also to shape your desire of tobacco and alcohol, which is very important and going also beyond the eating behavior.
Yes, of course, that's also an exciting part, but we try to stay on earth and be first very strong in the nutrition or the food industry. But then, of course, we're, as you know, our strong connection with research. Well, we're also running different studies at the moment and even different clinical trials for alcohol and also soft drug, the cannabis. And let's say in a year from now, we plan to release different version of the game with, of course, different environment, with very the same, unique selling point where let's control your alcohol consumption together. Let's control your tobacco consumption together. And then we feel like we very have some sort of an holistic approach to treat addictive behavior. And that's the long-term vision as well we have here at Neuria.
So Frederik, thank you very much for this meeting. I really enjoyed to make this question and trying to also to understand how is going to evolve Neuria in the future, in the next futures. So I found it very interesting. I want also to make a question to the followers and to the viewers. What do you think about Neuria? What's your opinion? As I told before, I think what I love the most is that Neuria focus a lot to not only to the results but also to the process, involving to have a good habit and not only bad habits. So I honestly I like it. Personally, I like it a lot, and I think it's very ethical. So please share your opinion. Remember to being polite. And if you like this kind of videos, please put a like and also subscribe. So thank you again, Frederik, and see you maybe in the next month.
Awesome. Thank you, Matilde. Thanks for having me today.
Ciao.